You're live on lunch. You're live on Lunch Conversations with Randy and Teddy. And those who don't know, again, I'm Teddy. And the guy with the shiny, is that a plaid shirt, dude? Or what is that, a stripy shirt?
I don't know. It's pretty unique. So, yeah. Teddy, I bought it just for our show.
Cool stuff, man. I do not want to see that on expenses. Lunch Conversations with Randy and Teddy is brought to you every Wednesday at 11:55 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today our special guest is Martha Larson, a good friend of mine who works for today a year in, and we'll talk more about that, for Forsyth Tech Community College as our Small Business Center Director. For those who don't know what I do, I teach LinkedIn as a business tool. I teach Google Workspaces business tool. I used to teach people how to do the Macarena, but that went out of style, so I'm just going to stay on the business conversations. I work out of the Winston-Salem, North Carolina area. My goal is to help people any way I can help them. And my sidekick, Mr. Randy Wooden, is still he is done banging on the keyboard.
I am.
Yeah, we're good to go?
We are. Yeah, we are streaming live right now on both Facebook and LinkedIn. So I think we're ready to take off for another week. Randy Wooden with Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina, Director for our Professional Center, based in Winston-Salem, and clients across the country. But if maybe you know somebody, or maybe you yourself, if you're watching, reach out on LinkedIn, get on the calendar. But if you're in a job search or know somebody who might be, think of us. We're happy to help. Every Wednesday, Teddy and I get together and we learn things, have a little bit of fun. And this week is no exception. I help job hunters. And Teddy, you've been doing that for many years as well. But what if somebody says, hey, you know what, maybe I'm not so much looking to get into the corporate side of things as an employee, but I might want to start my own business. And whether that means doing it today or in the future, people have questions. And that's a big area that Martha Larson is going to tackle today. Martha is our director for the Forsyth Tech Small Business Center. So we're going to dive into a whole lot of what she does, what the program does, how the center operates, how you can get involved with it if that's something you'd like to do. But I do want to remind you, if you have comments or questions for Martha, please put those in the chat, and Teddy will keep an eye on that. Teddy, have I left out some stuff? Or
I think we're good.
Well set?
I think we're good. So yeah, don't hesitate to ask questions.
Yeah.
Melanie's queued up. So again, it'll be a great conversation. I promise you that it'll be worthy of your attention. How's that, Randy? Yeah,
I'm going to ask you the why question about why you do what you do and how you got started. But first, Martha, if you would give a little bit more background about what your background, other than just by title and company. How long have you been there? What's your career up to this point?
Sure. So my career has been vast and varied. Okay. I have a law degree, and I don't practice in North Carolina, but that's how I moved up to Winston-Salem. My first job was at the Wake Forest School of Law. And then I moved to a law firm. It was a great North Carolina law firm for a while, but then it merged and became a little bit too big for me. But that was the point in which I started doing a lot of business development at the firm. So I stayed out for a little over a year. I had a baby and changed directions from the law specialty library to a public library where I was the business and nonprofit specialist. And I had met a gentleman who was in the Greensboro market for business development, and he had become a dean at the Davidson Davie Community College. And so they needed a director, and he reached out to me. And as Teddy said, that was over 9 years ago. I worked there for a good while, and I was basically doing that same thing because the small business centers serve for-profit and nonprofit organizations as well. So I was doing the programming, I was doing the counseling, so it was very similar. And then I actually live in the Winston-Salem area. So when the Winston-Salem position became open, I moved there, and liked my commute a lot better. Sure. It's a different market. It's a very busy center, but we have a team that can handle that right now. So we're working hard to serve everybody.
Did you have a why moment? You got into law for a while. Was there a single instance or a series of events? What's got the fires going for you to pursue with passion the kind of work that you do?
Sure. So I enjoy having an impact for folks. I enjoy leading people in the right direction, but most importantly, I really enjoy establishing and maintaining relationships for partnerships. At the public library, I definitely learned that there's no, no one can do that service alone. So when I moved to the community college system, it was an easy, kind of a transition because I had already learned about establishing partnerships and that kind of thing. And so I really enjoy the community basis of this position.
So let's start with, I guess, defining terms here. You work for the Forsyth Tech Small Business Center. So I assume you work for Forsyth Tech. So I guess we can get that kind of out of the way. So help us understand, what is the Small Business Center and when it started? How did it get launched?
Sure. So we're working on our 40th anniversary. The state of North Carolina is the only state that funds small business centers. We've all heard of SBTDCs. Some people from out of state may know the SBDCs, and these are all SBA funded. And with
I gotta stop you. So let's explain what those are. Small. So what is SBTDC? Let's rewind that and let's because people like me may not know what that is. So help us understand what you're talking about.
So SBTDC, Small Business Technology Development Centers. We have those in the state of North Carolina, and SBDC, Small Business Development Centers, are in the other states, also funded by the Small Business Centers, Small Business Administration. With SBA funded entities, centers, those are usually housed at four-year institutions. So the state of North Carolina realized that they wanted every county touched by small business counseling and support. So they developed the Small Business Center network that's housed at the community colleges. And that's because those entities are out more. So we have 58 small business centers. And we cover the counties in which the community college covers. So here at Forsyth, I cover Forsyth and Stokes counties.
Okay. So we've got that. And Teddy, I think you just addressed Dale's question.
Yep, I'm all over it, Randy. All over it, dude.
So SBTDC, I feel so official now. I can just talk in acronyms, just like, whatever. The key, though, is, at least here in North Carolina, I think if I'm hearing you right, the powers that be said, we want this to be more at the local level, as opposed to maybe in the four-year colleges that might be more sparse and spread out. This way, local people can get local access. Is that kind of the driver in this thing?
Correct.
Kind of, sort of. All right. So 40 years out. Wow, I had no idea. So good on you guys. That's been there a long time. Now, I think you're in the building with the Greater Winston-Salem, but that's under renovation. So where's your operation these days? If somebody's curious, and we can get in more detail on this, but if they were to knock on a door at, was it 525 Vine? Is there anybody that's going to answer at this point?
Well, Nell Perry is there. Nell's been with the Small Business Center here for years, and a lot of people know Nell, but we're really trying to educate folks to email or to call us because, we don't know the status of the renovation that's happening right now. And Nell is way back in the back. So it's just really is better for people to either call or to email me or the rest of the team to find out, making appointments, where we're meeting, and that kind of thing.
And Teddy can drop your email address in there so
Perfect.
people can find you. All right. So who does the Small Business Center serve? And take this any way you want to. I mean,
Sure.
this is a big topic. Who do you serve?
So we are allowed to serve, quote, small businesses, and that's vast. I mean, that's, defined as companies that can make, $5 million within 3 years. Well, that's a lot of companies. The small business centers tend to serve the smaller businesses, mom and pops up to maybe 10 employees, but we do have some clients that are larger. What's wonderful is when we see clients that have grown past our quote normal clientele. So we do have some clients, especially in the retail and food industry, that have as many as 30, 40, and 50 employees. We do have a few of the light manufacturing, but 90% of our client base are the small businesses that could be beauty, retail, food, things like that.
Yeah. And I don't know whether you're seeing changes demographically. That was something we may get to later in more detail. But are you seeing a couple things? One are there certain industries or demographics of people that you're seeing more of now, and just in general, what has changed in the year or so that you've been there?
Sure. So we've always had a large number of clients in the food industry, health as in home health, retail, and beauty types of businesses. We're now seeing a lot more transportation. I believe that's been around, but it's definitely happened a little bit more after COVID, because that's something that was really needed. Then we are definitely seeing a lot of women-owned businesses.
Hey, Teddy, there's some good stuff in the chat area.
Let me drop that little story that Ed just shared. Let me see if I get it right. So Ed says, Small World SBC at Forsyth changed his life. Woo! And this is how it changed his life. He met Dr. Ann Tyndall, who in 1990s was Martha at Forsyth Tech. And Ann Tyndall introduced Ed to a lady, I think, named Janet, because Ann said Janet needs someone to play bass on some jingles that Janet was trying to create. And one thing led to another. And Janet fell head over heels in love with Ed, and they got married.
And they all
just gave me a thumbs up.
I love making connections, but that would be the first time I'd ever heard about that connection. That's awesome.
How about that? Well, you never know. It's just you're helping put people where they need to be. And there was another good. I think Melanie had a good comment question up at the top there today.
Okay, I'll come back to that. Melanie wants to know how saturated is the craft to small business market. How saturated is the craft to small? I apologize. I'm probably screwing that up. To small business market since COVID has run most of its course.
So Melanie, if you'll put in the chat, are we talking the craft business or small business generation? Just period. So
we'll come back to Melanie's in a minute, and because Don's got a question. And Martha, please don't scare him with the answer, but Don wants to know, if he comes to a small business center event, how many arms and legs is he going to need to pay you?
The North Carolina Department of Commerce has tasked us with providing accessible and affordable services, which means that our services are free. The only time we charge is if it's a lunch and learn and there's food involved or something like that. But yes, our services are free.
Yeah.
So there's no means testing or anything like that to determine that the financial need. It's a free service.
Mm-mm.
A little bit like
It's-
Goodwill. I mean, our services are free. And Teddy's
Mhm.
heard this before, and I tell my clients this, and hopefully they laugh. But I tell them we're free, and you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And usually when you say that, they laugh a little bit. But seriously, folks, blah 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 blah, and you go on with your thing. But the fact that it is free sometimes can be a detriment because A, they don't have any skin in the game financially, and B, anything that's free, is it really that valuable? And so maybe talk about that and some of the challenges that kind of encompasses maybe in people's mind. Do you run into that at all, or just help us understand this whole free concept?
Sure. So there's
Yeah.
two concepts that kind of hinder, I think, some people from actually utilizing our services. One is, like you just said, the concept that it's free. But that's the purpose of our center is to be accessible. The other is that, we only deal with people in the Forsyth Tech community, like students, but we are an outreach service-based center, and we also have on board with us as mentors professionals that are typically not free by any means, but they are offering 1 to 2 hours, maybe a week or a month of their time pro bono.
Yeah. And Chan makes a good point. I
Yeah.
mean, nothing's free. I mean, ultimately it's paid with tax dollars, but the idea is if I'm starting a business, do I have to chunk down $500 or whatever to go through your program? And it sounds like the answer is no. And so there's that. But again, if there are lunch and learns or other things where food is provided, then yeah, I get that. So that certainly makes sense. All right. So you use the term hidden gem. And you say the SBC, the Small Business Center, is thought of as a hidden gem in the community. What does that mean? Hidden gem.
I've heard that a lot at both colleges, the Davidson Davy and here, that people don't really know about small business centers. You hear people that have gone to paid sponsored websites that are supposed to help you get your LLC and things like that, because they don't realize that they can get very affordable services locally, and they can actually speak to a person, which I think is very important. So, like I was saying, there's that misconception that they feel like we only deal with people within the college community, or they just haven't heard about it. We also kind of have the struggle, if you will, of overcoming a business owner feeling like if they seek out help, it's kind of a slack against them as a business owner. And so we really try to put out the word that there's nothing wrong at all by asking for help. Operating a business is one of the most difficult, jobs in the world. And so it's definitely something that people ought to seek assistance.
Yeah, I run into that too with Goodwill. There's a stigma attached that's or the pride issue, and hey, I got this, and I've done it before, or in your case, maybe they haven't started a business before, but it's like, how hard can that be? My cousin started one, and he's retired now, kind of thing. So how do you? All right, well, that and again, our professional center has branding challenges because you don't associate professionals with getting help from Goodwill, and so that's been an ongoing challenge for me and for Goodwill to get word out. So how does the Small Business Center brand it? So how do you get out and let the public know that it's here, it's available, and it's free, and it's local, and it's not just for college students? How do you brand this thing? How do you get out there?
Sure. So we're affiliated with all of the chambers of commerce that are in the Forsyth and Stokes area. We're I am very active in a lot of organizations. And I attend events like we're going to have this weekend of the Triad Minority and Women Business Expo. That's going to be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So I definitely am out and about a lot. We're going to be at the Fiesta that is sponsored by the local Hispanic League on September 9th. So I'm kind of the one that's out as much as I can be.
Teddy, did they invite you? That my invite must have got lost in the mail. Apparently
I was supposed to send that to you, Randy. I got it here somewhere.
Hey, we're talking with Martha Larson. She's the director of Forsyth Tech Small Business Center. So you serve folks here in Forsyth County. Teddy, what you got?
Yeah, let me take. I know what Melanie's asking now. Okay.
Gotcha.
So Melanie is asking the context of, when COVID happened, a lot of people went home and they worked from home, and their minds started wandering about creating a business. And I'm sure you're seeing that, Martha, because I know I'm seeing that as well, and Randy's seeing it. And Melanie's asking, are you seeing people who are taking a hobby, maybe it was a crafting hobby of some nature, and they're saying, I really love doing this, I believe I can make money? Are you seeing people showing up and go, I want to do that?
Sure, but that's actually been something that's been around a long time. And we have actually had summits or conferences for these types of specialties, whether they're in the arts and crafts or food-based businesses and healthcare related businesses. And we've seen people, for years that are very interested in actually legitimizing their business. I think during COVID, people worked more on that hobby and actually got it to a place where it could be a business. But that's a discussion that I have with them as a counselor to say, is this something you can actually make money at? And what are your goals with that? Do you want to replace a salary, and all that sort of thing?
Yeah. And I wonder too, Teddy, do you have more to follow up on?
Well, yeah, two things. Melanie asked, and Melanie, I apologize, forgot to add that piece. She wants to know how saturated it is, that business, and I'll hand this to Martha in a moment. I will tell you, Melanie, you'll be surprised of the potential for you to take a side hustle and turn it into a viable business. I have 4 daughters who have their own businesses, who 2 of them are crafters, and they have taken, here, simple. I have a daughter who makes a really good living making and selling earrings. Now, you would think that that is an overly saturated market, but it's not. Martha, any other thought on taking that side hustle, that fun? Is it really saturated, or is there a way to break into those markets?
I think it's saturated in the sense that it's not easy. You have to have skills on online selling. You have to have skills on getting people to visit your website or your Facebook or Instagram page, and things like that. So there are certain skills that come about that you need help in growing that business, because it's certainly not easy, but it's very doable. One
more question, Randy, with Don, and I appreciate our audience participating. Look, you guys make this way more freaking fun when you show up with us. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Because Randy and I, we rely on you guys to make us look good. Don wants to know is, do you have programs for corporations, Martha, or is this only programs that are open to the public?
So my programming has to be for the business owner, whether it's at top management of a corporation, like sometimes we do leadership and things like that. But the SBC's task is to educate business owners. Now, the college has customized training that's a parallel course for, kind of a position to me. And that focuses on workforce development, corporate development, and things like that. But the small business centers programming needs to be public. Now, if it's sponsored by someone or something like that, we can house it at a specific entity, but I put it out on our website for registration, and it's out there publicly.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I have a question for you, and
Sure.
This may take longer than a few, because halfway through, Teddy will cut us off and have to pay the light bills. All right, so just like a job hunt, there are different stages, the beginning, the steps toward hopefully a happy ending kind of thing. And so I'm trying to put my mind here in the idea of saying, okay, I have an idea in this fertile mind of mine. It's an idea. How far along? I think a Shark Tank, and they're always grilling them on how, what's your cost of acquiring customers, and how many units did you sell and all that. They peel them back pretty hard before they fork over some money, if that's how they end up doing it. All right. So at what point do I go to you, and what point do you say, hey, kid, come back when you have a little bit more firm grasp on reality here, right? Or do you say, hey, I know you're just getting started. Here's a checklist of stuff you got to do before we can really bring in these outside folks. If it's just an idea, should people reach out to you, or do they need to have something a little more tangible at this point?
So I love meeting people early in the process, because that's when less mistakes are made if someone's planning ahead of time. So there's a whole concept of marketability and feasibility that a lot of people miss. And so we love having that conversation of, okay, how are you going to monetize this idea? Let's examine it. So we have, myself, Carolyn Bennett Sullivan is our small business specialist. And we also have some strategic planning mentors. And so we definitely want to work through that whole concept development first. So we love seeing people early.
All right. So I come in early and say I have an idea for a new method of hair growth.
And then Martha will laugh at you.
And so you don't need to see any proof of anything. It's an idea. And so that like on a napkin, I just drew it on my way in while I was having a hamburger in the car while I was driving and texting on my phone. I was able to write on my napkin, here are some ideas I have. Is it that rudimentary that I can approach you at that point, or because all right, let me throw that. Is that too soon? Can I approach you with basically a napkin with grease on it that says, here's what I think I might want to do?
It's not too soon, but what we would do is give resources for homework, so to speak. Because we really want to see, and a lender wants to see, that a business operator knows that industry. So just because we engage early, we would certainly work with somebody in concept development, but we would also not do everything. We want that person to go out, work in the industry, learn about the industry, and do homework. So there's a lot of, give and take there.
So it may be that you say, hey, go home, do your homework, and come back with a little firmer grasp on the business side of things. It doesn't have to be huge, but more than just on a greasy napkin, if I'm hearing you. Yeah. Exactly. Hey, Teddy, you want to handle the halfway break and we can dive into some more stuff?
Yeah.
Good?
Martha, good stuff. I'm glad this is good conversation, and I appreciate our audience participating in it.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, it makes it way richer when we do that. And Dale, don't go order anything that I shared with you today. Hey, you're on Lunch Conversations with Randy and Teddy. Those who don't know, I'm Teddy. My sidekick is Randy. Our special guest today is Martha Larson. This show is all about bringing new ideas, new perspectives, new fabulously informative people to the show to help our communities and help people in business and people who are, in a career thought, how to be successful. Please let your friends know about us. Hunt down our podcast, like our podcast, follow our YouTube channel. Randy and I don't make any money at this, but we love doing this to be able to help you. So
yeah, we do.
If you have a special guest that you think would be absolutely fabulous to bring to the show, let us know. If you do not know who our special guests are upcoming, you're missing a great list, because Randy and I are busting our butts, and I'm serious. We've got some really cool guests scheduled to continue this whole theme about bringing great people to us. So hunt us down and find out what that list is, because you want to take a look at it. It's pretty freaking fantastic.
What are we, 175 in or 176?
This is 176, man. I feel like I'm getting old, buddy.
Like I say, we've lasted longer than a lot of marriages.
Yeah. So that's because we don't sleep in the same house.
Well, there's something to be said for space. All right. I know you've never been asked this before. Where's he going here? COVID. I mean, COVID's been around for a few years. It's still, actually, you know what? I saw it in the news. You guys see that in the news? Some of the schools are starting with the masks again. And so who knows? It could be round 10 or whatever. Whatever. But anyway, bottom line is COVID's been around. It's impacted every industry that we can think of. How has it impacted you and how you engage with people, how you market to them, how they receive your services and so forth? And, walk us through the whole COVID thing, how the world stopped, and then where you stand today.
Sure. So one great thing came out of COVID. The state gave small business centers an added pot of money to provide services. We could pay for services for small business owners to help them in, struggles during that time. Now, obviously, we couldn't help with out and out closures. We couldn't help with the lack of staff, which is still going on, but we could we could benefit their bottom line by paying for some things to help them pivot. I know everybody hates that word.
Like what pay
like
what kind of things you're talking about?
So we could pay for legal assistance. We could pay for building a website. We could pay for teaching people how to use QuickBooks, teaching people about online sales, getting their books straightened out. So we, in effect, had extra funds to give grants, but it wasn't paid directly to the business, but it was paid to this third-party vendor. So they have continued that. So we got extra funds, started this fiscal year, and that was the most exciting and the most rewarding part of my job during COVID, because we literally, helped people who needed to work around, certain obstacles during that time. And so the Small Business Center can actually do that today.
They can still do it today. I'm sure there were other things that changed, including what we're doing right now, Zoom. I mean, I gather I couldn't walk in and get personalized help, right? I mean,
not at that time.
All right.
But yes, a lot of counseling was virtual, but really what a cool thing that came out of a lot of our webinars and workshops became virtual. So now we've adopted that, all over the state. So anyone can look for content from a Small Business Center all over the state. So if I'm not providing a specific topic that someone needs, we can, look at all the centers and find out. So there are some positive things that came out of COVID.
Teddy, Melanie's got a couple of good.
Yeah, let me, Martha, I'm gonna get the MBSC link. I think I said that right. The mbsc.net link. I'll share that, which is the link where you can find all the programming that Martha has scheduled online, but you can also find all the other programming about all types of business topics that could be beneficial. I'll get that in a minute. Melanie wants, well, first of all, Melanie offered a statement and asked for a question. She said her perception of small business owner is someone who is outgoing, gregarious, a people person, extroverted, quickly and easily engages in public on their products and services. Now, Martha is doing the same thing I'm doing, but so Martha, take this one. How do you help somebody who is not all of that, but yet wants to become a salesperson for the sake of their business?
So we just had this experience yesterday. We had a grant award yesterday, and and I asked each of the recipients to stand up and introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about his business. And one of the guys said, "This is the first time I've ever spoken to a crowd this large." So one thing that we can do is be encouraging, but give them the opportunities to actually work on those skills. And we have mentors in sales, networking opportunities, and people who can help them along the way to develop those communication skills.
Yeah, I get clients that are in a job hunt, but they also have one foot in the bucket of saying, you know what, take this job and shove it. And they think, hey, I'd like to branch out and maybe start my own business. And my counsel to them, for one, is check out you guys, for one, because you specialize in that. But the other is kind of what Melanie was saying is and I'll use a computer repair guy, computer person. They may be a whiz bang at technology, but they may not have any interest in, passion for, skills in marketing their services. It's one thing to be able to provide the service. It's another to let people know about it. And so that's a big hurdle for a lot of folks. So maybe they look to partner with somebody who has those skills, or they find a way so that they are more focused on their strengths as the IT guy, for example. And the other is, you need a pile of cash if you're going to go through some cash burning while you get the business up and running. So the financial side of this thing, we haven't really talked about that a lot, but how heavy a lift is that for a lot of folks? What do you tell them?
Sure. So there's very few situations where a lender or a grant is going to fund 100% of whatever their business concept is. So we definitely work on the startup budget first, and we have them take a realistic look. Even if you get a loan, which is very hard for a startup, you have to be in impeccable shape. You are going to be asked to invest at least 20%. So if you don't have that, then there may be ways to accumulate a little bit of revenue, put it into savings, and get to that place. Because that's a reality that not only is it the startup budget, but you have to be prepared to fund at minimum 90 days, because your loan is not going to happen overnight. And we usually tell people to have in savings or have some sort of a plan for funding up to 6 months, because you don't know how the business is going to do. It may be a seasonal business and that kind of thing. And we can enter in projections all that we want, but doesn't mean it's going to work out that way. So we really have to be prepared for 6 months worth of operation budget.
Yeah, I just reached out to Teddy for a loan. He hasn't returned my phone call yet. Now that I have you, Teddy, let me run this idea by you. All right, so there are a lot of hurdles here. This is more than just the greasy napkin. Hey, I think I want to be the next Mark Cuban or whatever. So I get that. Lots of questions, lots of things that you have to go through. How does somebody actually then apply for help? What's the process look like if I think this might be something for me?
Sure. So it's not an application. It's as simple as registering with the Small Business Center. That shoots us an email, and the small business specialist and I reach out. We both work as a team to get with people, and then we have our preliminary conversation. We figure out the best plan of action, and so people can take our events without registering per se for counseling. But either way, it puts someone in our system. And so therefore I can, reach out to people, notify, people about our programming, notify people about certain announcements and things like that. So for anyone who's in North Carolina, especially in Forsyth Tech, we do have a grant out there. It's the Greater Winston-Salem grant that's an affiliation with Forsyth County. So, we're definitely interested in people finding out about things like that.
Sure.
I think Teddy put our website in there, forsythtech.edu/SBC, and that has the link to register for counseling and to find our events.
And we have a number of attendees on our call today, and of course throughout the galaxy, because as Teddy will tell you, we are galactical in our reach. All right, so we have a lot of folks that live outside North Carolina that check out this thing, check out the show. All right, so they're saying, all right, that's all well and good, but I don't live in North Carolina, much less Forsyth County. What advice would you give to those folks? Where should they kind of start to look? You had a big old acronym at the top of the show, so I don't know if that's where you'd steer them, but I forgot what it is. It begins with an S and it ends with a blah, 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 blah at the end of it. But what do you tell somebody who's in another state and say, hey, this stuff's pretty cool, I'd like to investigate it, but I'm not going to relocate to North Carolina?
Sure. So other states have the SBA funded centers. Those are the women business centers, the SBTDCs, which are small business development technology centers, and the SBDCs, small business development centers. So and then also SCORE. And SCORE are retired executives who are volunteering their time. Now, so if you contact the SBA in your area, you can
so the SBA, that's the Small Business Administration. Check them out in your state. Speaking of old timers and retired guys, Teddy,
I want to help with that. So SCORE is a great add-on to SBCs. And SCORE is no longer retired guys. And Martha Randy know this. I am a SCORE mentor. And so, if you are outside of North Carolina and can't find a small business center, go to sba.org or go to score.org and you can find similar resources. Did I say that somewhat right, Martha?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Now, somebody did put in the chat, hey, could we reach out to Martha anyway? And I guess they could, but you tell them go to the SBA in your state, right? That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, we can answer questions if they're interested in North Carolina, but for general, I've got some resources, but usually our resources are kind of North Carolina specific. But what I would ask people is not to rely on these paid services that don't know much about your state and that kind of thing. Definitely seek sort of assistance.
So they're outside source. Oh, so Teddy could actually be one of the folks that gets engaged with some of your business folks. I mean, it sounds like, right? Teddy, you're in play for that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine to have a conversation with anybody, as Martha. Anybody who wants a conversation, if I can point you in the right direction, I'll do it. In North Carolina, I haven't shared this with the group yet, but I do work for Davidson Davie Community College Small Business Center, and I play a role similar. I'm trying real hard to get good at it, that Martha plays for Forsyth Tech. And so I do the SBC work, and I'm also a SCORE counselor as well. But I repeat what Martha said. If you're outside of Forsyth Tech or Forsyth County or Davidson Davie County, go to the Small Business Administration's website and ask this question: how do I get business coaching or counseling? That's the question I just dropped on there right now that didn't work, but I'll get it in a minute.
Okay.
And I'll share it with the group so you can see that URL.
One of the things we wanted to ask, or at least I wanted to ask, was some of the other agencies that you work with. And I think you just listed one or two of them, but help us give us a sense for some of the other agencies you work with. And then also, and I'll include this as well, what I'll call individual consultants, who are just, in just one person. Help us understand what that mosaic looks like.
Sure. So the Forsyth County ecosystem for support groups is vast. And that's one of the surprises that I had from moving to a little bit more rural, kind of city environment rather than larger city. So we have organizations at all stages. We have organizations that focus on creative entrepreneurs. We have organizations that focus on innovative entrepreneurs. And that's what we all do, is we want to, work with each other and make sure that we get people the right help. So I have a listing of ecosystem partners. There's 85 on our email list. So it's pretty vast. So it depends on your goals. It depends on your demographics. But if people contact me, I can give them the link of our listing and our ecosystem calendar, which if I can find that, Teddy, I will get that.
Give it to me, and I'll put it on the website that on the show page to share with people. Martha, thank you.
Perfect.
And I'll put all these. By the way, I'll put all of these SBTDC, SBDC, score.org, SBA.gov. I'll put all those URLs on that website, and we can get more traffic to our website, Randy.
Hey, let's talk demographics for a minute here. We've heard all these young people, they don't want to work, and whatever. We've heard that's COVID and whatever. And so I throw that out there facetiously, but in all seriousness, I'd like to get a sense from your perspective. Are we seeing more millennial, Gen X, Gen Z, boomers? But let's break this down. The people that come to you for help, are they younger, mid-career, retiree age, women, men, different races, that kind of thing? Help us understand what that might look like. Are you seeing any changes?
Sure. So our change is we are seeing more of the Spanish-speaking community. Okay. That's not because they're more out there. They've always owned businesses, but we are intentionally reaching out to that community. I'm not seeing the real young. We do have a couple of college students, but it's not much on the scale. Okay. It's largely, I would say, 28 to 50. It's very vast. We have, as I'd mentioned earlier, a lot more women are starting to become engaged. We have a wide variety of races and ethnic backgrounds. It's a very diverse group. So it's pretty diverse, but it's not that young person yet necessarily.
One of the challenges is access to capital, and depending on if you have a rich uncle or if you're related to Teddy, you're in like Flynn. But if you're not, then that becomes a real challenge. And it sounds like you've got some tools in place to help people get ready financially to understand what the lay of the land is going to look like. All right, so we've got a few minutes left, and at about 6 till or thereabout, I'll ask you for a takeaway or two, but let's talk about some common mistakes people make. And we can learn from past mistakes, maybe that others have made or whatever, to hopefully keep us a little more focused. What are some mistakes you've seen over the years?
Sure. So the number one mistake is not planning, is investing in a lease or going ahead and registering a corporate entity or something like that and not planning. Secondly, it's signing a document, whether it's a contract, whether it's a franchise agreement, whether it's a lease, without really planning for the business and looking at how much that's going to cost. So we have attorneys who can help to look at contracts, who can help look at leases and things like that, because that's a common mistake. And then also number one is, kind of assuming some things. We have a lot of people who have gotten into partnerships that didn't work. That's something that you really have to examine. If it's family, if it's a friend, everything kind of changes when business is involved. So I would say the top three are really taking a look at how much money this venture is going to actually make, and not committing to a partner or a lease or some kind of a contractual agreement without really looking at how much money the business can make.
Martha, I'll tell you, one of my pet peeves of, I've developed over my time as a SCORE mentor and now involved in SBC. One of the phrases I listen for that scares me is when someone says, I believe I can do this. I believe this can do this, or I feel. And that scares the bejesus out of me for someone who's starting a business. The word should be, I believed it, and then I went and did research.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's no guarantee.
Yeah.
But like you say, if you do an educated guess, at least it's better than just thinking, oh, I like this idea and I think everybody else. Also, a number one mistake is someone thinks because they like it that the world's going to like it, and business folks have to start to look at the customer's perspective, not their own.
Yeah. So for someone to follow through on that, do they do a little focus group kind of thing with people, hopefully, who will give them a straight answer? Or how do you go about, what is that called? Proof of something? Proof of concept or whatever. How do you get a real temperature check? Because if you talk to your mama and daddy, they'll probably tell you, oh, I love it. But you need some reality here. How does a guy go about that?
Number one is working in that industry, whether you're volunteering. Okay. A big part of that is like all these individuals that start food trucks. Cooking in a food truck is completely different than cooking in a true commercial kitchen. But whatever the business concept, find people who do it and see if you're able to make that connection, to learn from them in some form or fashion. And then the other way, like you say, is examine what the competition is doing. And we can do focus groups, too. And that's typically a very expensive venture, but the Small Business Center can do a quasi focus group, just something to get people to taste things, to smell things if they're candles, or or whatever, because you have to get a idea of what people are willing to pay for. A lot of people with food say, oh, people love my wings, but they're getting it for free. So that's different than if they really like those wings enough to pay for them.
Yeah, and that's similar to people in a job hunt who, especially if they say, hey, I'm tired of being a school teacher, I want to go out and do whatever. It's so lot better if you sit down and have conversation with people who do the work. I know, Teddy, you preach that day in and day out, and so do I. Look before you leap. And there's no guarantee, to your point, that it'll work, that it'll all pan out as well as you'd hope. But at least you go in with your eyes open, having done some homework on it. You can at least say, hey, I've done my due diligence. I believe this will work. Sorry, Teddy. I believed it, and I researched it, and I found that it can work. So excited about that. Real quick, success story. You got one or two you want to rattle off real quick?
Definitely. So we have a franchisee, and franchises.
Aside from having somebody get married as a result, right? So we already did that one. So that you're not going to top that. But let's say, what's number 2 on the list? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I do love it when I connect 2 of the clients and they end up working together. So we did have someone in Davidson County who has a Made in the USA store, and I connected several of our clients who are now have retail space in that store. We have a franchisee, as I was going to say, franchises are tough and extremely expensive. So that's another thing that you want somebody to really take a look at.
Sure.
But she's in downtown Winston-Salem. She has a very interesting business concept. She had 30 employees prior to COVID, and she still has 30 employees. And that's because of her staff based are the intellectually challenged people, and those people want to work. And I think that's what a business owner needs to really think about, as well as being open to finding employees who want to work, because I tell you that's a rarity right now. So
Martha, do you mind sharing the Winston franchise?
Biddy Bow Coffee Shop.
Oh my God.
Biddy
Yeah.
and Bow.
Yeah. Hey, quick takeaway or two. You got one real quick? If we take away not a whole lot else here, what do you want folks to take away from today's show?
Sure. So make connections. We are having a quarterly business breakfast. Our first one is August the 30th. We're also having various summits. We're having a Black Business Summit in 2024. We're having a Women on the Rise Summit. So keep up with whatever location that you're in. Definitely, get on e-newsletters and follow them on social media so that you can hear great things that are happening. Because I tell you, Small Business Center and SBA funded places are really trying to serve this population, because we have our heart for small business. And I even have a campaign now called Buy Local that I'm promoting on t-shirts and stuff. So I'll be at the Triad Minority and Women Business Expo Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with our t-shirts. So if you're in the area, we'd love to see you and give you one of our shirts.
In the 98-degree heat?
No, it's going to be cool like today.
Oh, there you go. Martha Larson, thanks for joining us. Teddy knows you for years. I just have come to know you here in the last, several months, but you got a lot going on there. And
yes, we do.
So
that's good, because we have
awesome.
a lot of different businesses. So we have to be out there to be touching those.
Well, the
businesses.
help, it sounds like the help is out there. The help is there for people who have the initiative. Just like with what I do with Goodwill, I tell people, if you have the want to, I can teach you the how to. And in many cases, you're the same way, except you're dealing with starting a small business versus going into another corporate type job. Teddy, I don't really have a great story, but I'll make one up real quick. And the guest is yours next week.
Yeah.
But I tell people, I used to work in radio a long time ago. Anyway, longer story short, I got started doing this work on my own back in the early 2000s. And people said, well, what's this like coaching and private outplacement stuff? What? Yeah. And I said, look, it may not work. I believe it'll work. But you know what? I don't want to wake up at age 60 and look back and wonder what if. And now that I have surpassed 60, it's in my rearview mirror. I'm not still self-employed, but what it did do, and this is key, is it gave me the next rung on the ladder. It got me exposure in this kind of work. It got me to meet guys like Teddy, who I love to death, and others that are hearts in the right place. And so even though I'm not still self-employed, the end result was I'm in a great spot. And for me, it's where I need to be. It's what I love doing and helping people. So it's all worked out. Teddy, who we've got next week? What's coming up?
Well, here, let me add to that story. I started my business December of 2010. And when I started my business, one of the first things I did was I met people who do what I wanted to do. And I wrote a business plan. Now, my business plan was no more than 3 pages, but I had a freaking plan. I knew what I wanted to create, and I've adjusted and pivoted. But I share that with you because I echo what Martha says. We don't plan to fail, but we often fail to plan. And a part of that is go meet people who play in the sandbox with the toys you want to play with. And you're more likely to understand what you're trying to create and have a better opportunity to create it. That's my story in that regard.
And I remember, Teddy, when you and I sat down, I mean, it's been like yesterday, but yeah. So that's cool. What you got next week? We got a good one.
Dr. Jennifer Thomas, who is the author of the 5 apology languages and also the author of Making Things Right at Work. Now, think about this. We have a large demographic of men on the show, Randy. Not that the women are way more important than all the men on here. I think I'm saving myself there. But, and I'm picking on my men friends because we often struggle with apology. And Dr. Jennifer Thomas, Jen Thomas, I've known her for years. A smart lady. She partnered with Gary Chapman to write the 5 apology languages. And I can promise you this will be equally as enjoyable. Jen's a great lady, but it can also help us, my words, be a better human. So join us at 11:55 a.m. Eastern Standard Time next Wednesday, August 30th. We appreciate all of you. Martha, thank you very much. Good to see you today. We'll talk again soon. Randy, good seeing you and good seeing our audience. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right, see you.
Thank you.